The bell above the door chimed softly as a skinny boy slipped into Maple Street Diner, his shoulders hunched beneath a threadbare hoodie. The morning rush hadn't started yet. Only a few truckers sat in the corner, sipping coffee. The boy moved quietly, hopping not to draw attention, but the sharp eyes of Maria, the owner, caught him immediately. "You're late today, Leo," she said warmly, wiping her hands on her apron. Leo gave a shy smile. Had to help Mom with something before school. He didn't mention that something was waiting for her to finish crying in the bathroom before leaving the apartment. Bills, overdue notices, no food, same as always. Maria didn't press. Instead, she set a plate of scrambled eggs and toast on the counter, fresh, warm, bigger than what he got anywhere else. Leo's eyes widened. "I can just take leftovers." "Hush," she said. "Eat before it gets cold." He obeyed. Hunger melted away with each bite. For a moment, he felt like a normal kid, not the boy who had holes in his shoes and sometimes slept with 2 shirts on because the heating was out again. Maria watched him with an expression that was half affection, half worry. She'd been feeding him for months, always pretending he was helping her test new recipes, so he wouldn't feel like charity. The diner wasn't making much, but she had a soft spot for strays, and Leo was the kind of child who made it impossible not to care. The bell chimed again. This time, the person who walked in made every head in the diner turn. A tall man in a tailored coat, hair perfectly slicked back, shoes that cost more than some people's rent. He surveyed the diner with a faint smile, almost nostalgic, almost sad. Maria blinked. She hadn't seen him in years. Ethan Hale. The runaway kid who used to mop her floors for free pie, now one of the city's youngest millionaires. "Maria," he said with genuine warmth, "your place hasn't changed at all." She puffed air out of her cheeks. "Well, can't say the same about you." Ethan laughed, but his smile faded when he noticed Leo at the counter, hunched over his plate, trying not to be seen. "Who's this?" Ethan asked softly. Maria hesitated. Leo froze. But before either could speak, the diner door banged open again, a short, angry man storming inside. "You," he barked at Leo, "you took a loaf of bread from my store yesterday, thought I wouldn't find you." Leo's face drained of color. The man marched forward, grabbing Leo's arm. "I'm calling the police this time." Maria slammed her hand on the counter. "He's just a child." "A thief is a thief." Leo didn't fight. He just kept whispering, I'm sorry, we had nothing to eat." The truckers looked away. No one knew what to say. But Ethan Hale stepped forward. Calm, controlled. Dangerously cold. "Let the boy go," he said. "This is none of your business," the shop owner snapped. "It is now." Ethan reached into his coat and pulled out a leather wallet. He removed a card and handed it over. The man squinted at it. Then his face went pale. "Why, you're Ethan Hale, Hale Industries." Ethan nodded. "Send me the bill for every loaf of bread the boy has ever taken, and every loaf he ever will." The shop owner swallowed hard. I didn't mean." "Leave," Ethan said quietly, "before you embarrass yourself further." The man backed away, muttering apologies, and fled. Leo stared at the floor, trembling. Maria exhaled shakily. "Ethan, thank you." Ethan gently placed a hand on Leo's shoulder. "What's your name, buddy?" "Leo." "How old are you?" 12. Ethan knelt so he was eye level. "Leo, when was the last time you had a full meal, not diner scraps, a real meal?" Leo hesitated, then whispered, "I don't remember." Something in Ethan's expression hardened, not anger at Leo, but at the world that had let a child suffer like this. "Maria," he said without breaking eye contact with the boy, "I'm staying for breakfast." Maria raised a brow. "What are you planning?" Ethan smiled. "Something I wish someone had done for me." Leo looked confused. He didn't know it yet, But that single morning, that single plate of eggs, that single act of kindness was about to change everything he thought he knew about life, family, and his own worth. It was the beginning of a story he could never have imagined. A story that began in a tiny diner and would end in the mansion of a millionaire. Leo didn't go to school that morning. He tried to insist, mumbling something about attendance and homework, but Ethan wouldn't hear it. "School can wait," he said firmly. "Your stomach can't." And so, for the first time in his life, Leo sat in a diner booth instead of eating secretly at the counter. Maria brought out pancakes stacked high, fresh fruit, bacon, eggs, enough for 3 people. Leo's eyes widened like he'd stumbled into a dream he wasn't allowed to touch. "Go on," Maria urged, ruffling his hair. "We made extras." Leo took small bites at first. Then, when he realized no one was going to snatch the food away, he ate like someone who didn't know when the next meal would come. Ethan watched quietly. Every now and then, Maria caught him staring at the boy with that same thoughtful expression, the one Ethan used to wear when he was deciding whether to risk everything on a bad investment. After breakfast, when Leo finally leaned back, full in a way he'd never felt before, Ethan asked, "Where's your mom now?" Leo hesitated. He clutched the sleeves of his hoodie. "She's home, I think. She sleeps a lot, doesn't feel good most days." Ethan and Maria exchanged a look, a heavy one. "What about your dad?" Ethan asked, voice gentle. "I don't know him." The diner fell quiet. Leo looked down again, ashamed, as if not having a father was a crime, as if hunger was his fault, as if surviving made him guilty. Ethan's jaw tightened. "Leo," he said, "do you trust me?" The boy blinked. No one had ever asked him that before. I think so." "Then come with me. Let's check on your mother." Leo stiffened. "But our place, it's messy and small and—" "And I don't care," Ethan said. "Lead the way." Their walk to the apartment was silent but tense. Leo stayed half a step behind Ethan, as if afraid to be seen next to someone dressed in real clothes, with real confidence, with shoes that didn't squeak from broken soles. They climbed 3 flights of stairs in a cracked building that smelled of old paint and loneliness. Leo paused outside the peeling door. "She might be sleeping," he whispered. Ethan nodded. "Let's go in." The apartment was dark, too quiet. Leo tiptoed to the bedroom and pushed it open. "Mom," he murmured. A woman lay curled under thin blankets, hair tangled, face hollow. She didn't wake, not even when Leo gently shook her shoulder. "She gets tired a lot," Leo said softly, eyes down. "Sometimes dizzy, sometimes she doesn't eat so I can eat." Ethan placed 2 fingers gently on her wrist. Feeling her weak pulse, he didn't say much, but his face told the whole story. Exhaustion, malnutrition, early signs of collapse. "Leo," he said quietly, "your mom needs a doctor now." The boy's hands shook. We can't. Last time they asked for money up front and—" "Hey," Ethan laid a steady hand on his shoulder. "Look at me." Leo looked up, terrified. "You're not paying a single rupee. I am." The boy stared, confused, like someone who wanted to believe in miracles but wasn't sure they were real. "Grab her things," Ethan said. "We're taking her to the hospital." At the clinic, the nurses knew Ethan. Everyone in the city did. The moment he walked in, the staff rushed to help. Leo stayed glued to his mother's side as they ran tests, inserted IV lines, and asked him gentle questions he wasn't used to answering. Ethan stood back, watching the boy's trembling hands cling to his mother's fingers. After an hour, the doctor approached, holding a clipboard. "She's severely malnourished," he explained, "and dehydrated. She's been skipping meals for months, hasn't she?" Leo's eyes filled with shame. Ethan answered for him. "She has, to make sure her kid survives." The doctor nodded. "We'll keep her here for a few days. With proper care and food, she should stabilize." Leo's knees went weak with relief. "Can I stay with her?" he asked. "Of course," the doctor said. Ethan watched the boy settle into the chair beside his mother. He didn't leave her side, not for a second. Even when a nurse brought him juice and crackers, he didn't take them until Ethan insisted. Hours passed. When Leo finally dozed off in the chair, head resting on the blankets, Ethan quietly stepped outside the room with the doctor. "What happens now?" he asked. The doctor sighed softly. "Recovery is possible, but look at their living conditions. Once she's discharged, she'll be back in the same cycle." Ethan's face hardened. "Not if I can help it." The doctor looked curious. "You're thinking of doing something?" Ethan didn't answer, not yet, but his mind was racing. The memories of his own childhood, hungry nights, desperate mornings, the exact same fear, rose like ghosts he thought he'd buried. This boy, this mother, their life was too close to the one he had narrowly escaped. But there was one thing Ethan remembered most. Someone had saved him. A stranger, a teacher, a woman who refused to ignore a hungry boy. He was looking at Leo now, and he knew. It was his turn. Later, when Leo woke and found Ethan still sitting there, he looked startled. "You stayed?" "Of course." "Why?" Ethan smiled faintly. "You remind me of someone." "Who?" "A kid who needed a chance." Leo didn't fully understand, but he felt something shift that day. Something huge, bigger than pancakes, bigger than hospital rooms. A spark. A hope. A belief that maybe, just maybe, life wasn't always going to be like this. When evening came and Leo finally ate a proper meal from the hospital tray, he whispered, "Thank you for everything." Ethan looked at him long and hard. "Leo," he said quietly, "I haven't done anything yet." The boy didn't know what that meant. But soon he would. Because Ethan Hale wasn't the type of man to walk away. And after seeing that apartment, that hunger, that courage, he knew one thing. He would change this boy's life. Even if it meant changing his own. Leo stayed at the hospital for 3 days, barely leaving his mother's side. Ethan visited every morning before work and every evening afterward, bringing food, books, warm clothes, and anything the boy might need, but never in a way that made Leo feel pitied. On the 4th day, the doctor entered the room with a relieved smile. "She's stable now," he said. "Still weak but recovering well. She'll need rest, proper meals, and a stress-free environment for a while." Leo squeezed his mother's hand, tears of relief running down his cheeks. But the doctor wasn't finished. "There's something else," he added. "She mentioned fainting spells and long-term exhaustion. Her job, whatever it is, seems too demanding for her current health." Leo knew what that meant. His mother cleaned offices at night, sometimes 2 or 3 shifts back to back. She worked herself sick so he could eat. Now she couldn't even stand without wobbling. He stiffened. "Mom, what will we do?" he whispered. She touched his cheek weakly. "We'll figure something out." But they wouldn't have to. Because Ethan Hale had been waiting for this moment. When Leo's mother, her name was Elena, was well enough to sit up, Ethan finally introduced himself properly. "I'm Ethan," he said gently. "Your son and I met at the diner." Elena attempted a smile, embarrassed. "I'm sorry you had to see all that. I try my best, but things have been difficult." "You don't need to explain anything," Ethan said. "You've been carrying the world alone. No one should have to do that." She looked down, eyes glistening. Leo watched anxiously. He trusted Ethan with a child's pure faith, but he didn't know what the man was planning. Then Ethan exhaled. "Elena, Leo, I have a proposal." The room went still. "I want to help you, really help you. Long-term, not charity, not pity, an opportunity." Leo leaned forward, unable to breathe. Ethan continued, "Your apartment is unsafe. Your job is destroying your health. and Leo has responsibilities no 12-year-old should ever carry, so I want to offer you both a fresh start." Alina blinked. "What do you mean?" "I want to move you into one of my properties, safe, clean, fully furnished for as long as you need it. No rent, no catch." Alina's eyes widened with panic. I can't accept something like that." "You can," Ethan said softly, "and you should." He wasn't finished. "I also want to offer you a job, a flexible one. You'd work part-time at Hale Foundation, my charitable branch. We support community projects, education drives, food programs. Your experience, your resilience, they matter. You'd have benefits, medical support, and time to recover." Alina was staring at him, like he was speaking another language. "And Leo," Ethan said, turning toward the boy, "you're going back to school with a full scholarship. Supplies, clothes, meals, everything handled. No more going hungry, no more skipping days." Leo's mouth dropped open. But why?" he whispered. "Why us?" Ethan sat beside him. "When I was your age," he began quietly, "I was homeless, hungry, angry at the world. One day someone saw me. Someone fed me, believed in me, and that changed everything. Without her, I wouldn't be here." He looked Leo in the eyes. "You remind me of that boy, and I promised myself that if I ever had the power to pull someone else out of the dark, I would." Leo's throat tightened. Alina covered her mouth, sobbing. "You don't owe us anything," she whispered. "We're strangers to you." Ethan shook his head. "No one who's suffering is a stranger to me." Silence filled the room, warm and heavy. It felt like the world had paused. Finally, Alina wiped her tears. If I say yes, are you sure you can do all this?" Ethan laughed softly. "Trust me, I can." Leo sprang forward and hugged him, hard, trembling, overwhelmed. "Thank you," the boy whispered into his coat. "I won't waste this, I promise. I'll study hard, I'll be someone." Ethan held him gently. "You already are someone, Leo." A new life begins. The new apartment was nothing like their old one. Clean floors, warm lighting, real beds, stocked fridge. Leo explored every corner with awe, touching things carefully, as if they might disappear. Alina cried when she saw the kitchen cabinets full of groceries. Ethan kept his promise. He visited often, making sure they adjusted well. He helped Alina with her new job. He helped Leo enroll in a better school. And every morning, Leo still went to Maple Street Diner, eating breakfast not as a hungry boy hiding in the corner, but as a friend. Maria cried when she saw the change in him. "Ethan saved you," she whispered. Leo shook his head. "You did too, both of you did." Months later. Leo's grades soared. Teachers praised his intelligence and work ethic. He joined the debate team, then robotics club. He grew stronger, healthier, happier. Ethan attended every major event, quietly, like a father who didn't want to embarrass the kid but didn't want to miss a moment either. Sometimes Leo wondered what life would have been if Ethan never walked into that diner. Then he remembered the day he was hungry, scared, gripping a stolen loaf of bread. And how all it took was one person to say, "Let the boy go." One choice. One meal. One act of courage. It changed everything. Years later, Leo stood on a stage, wearing a graduation gown, valedictorian medal shining around his neck. He scanned the audience until he found them. His mother, healthy, proud, glowing. Maria crying as always. And Ethan, smiling like the moment he first saw Leo eat a full breakfast in the diner booth. When Leo took the podium, the first words he spoke were, "This isn't my achievement. This is the story of people who saved a hungry boy." The hall went silent. My mother, who sacrificed everything. Maria, who fed me when she didn't have to. And Ethan Hale, the man who walked into a diner one morning and changed my life forever. Ethan looked away for a second, wiping his eyes. Leo's voice softened. I hope someday I can do for someone else what they did for me. And he would. Because people who rise from darkness don't forget the ones who lit the way.